Hello everyone and welcome to today's Daily Splat video number 14 in our series of 20 previewing the English Premier League season. This means that it's under a week to go until it starts. Very exciting. Today is actually the day of the Community Shield match, or the Charity Shield, whatever it's called. This year being contested between Manchester United and Manchester City, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about a different city, Stoke City. In fact, Stoke could have been playing in this game tonight had they beaten Manchester City in the FA Cup final. Alas, they were undone 1-0 in the final and didn't really play that well. But despite losing the final, it was a very good season for Stoke, who previously had never been to the FA Cup final. So it was still their best year in terms of that performance, and also they had a very, very good season in the Barclays Premier League. They were never in danger of relegation. They have now established themselves as a Premier League side, and everyone feels that they're ready to take the next step. What is that next step? Well, regularly qualifying for European competition is that next step. But it's not going to be easy when you've got the likes of Everton and Aston Villa and Tottenham who've been established in the Premier League for yonks, and they're the teams that you're competing with to get into those Europa League spots. And let's not forget Liverpool too. Technically, if they might be trying to push for the top four, but if they fail to get in there, they're going to get fifth or sixth anyway. So Stoke really, it's going to take quite a while before they're regularly competing for those spots with any sort of legitimate claim. The best they can hope for is to repeat last season's performance and finish inside the top 10, which I think would be a successful season. Tony Pulis has retained virtually the same squad. Oh, before we move on, I should say they are competing in the Europa League at the moment. They're in the qualifying rounds. They've got to play Swiss side FC Thun if they're going to qualify for the group stages proper. So we'll keep you posted on that. Anyway, Stoke in the Premier League, not many changes. They have let a couple of players go. Ida Good-Johnson has been told he's not welcome back really after his one-year deal failed to materialise in any sort of appearances basically. He only made 4 appearances off the bench and spent the second half of last season on loan at Fulham. They've also let go of defender Sonko, who only made a total of 17 appearances for the club. In fact, in the last 2 years he's only made 1 Carling Cup appearance. And former captain Abdoulaye Faye has also been let go. His contract ran out and they will not be re-signing it. To replace him, they've made their only signing of the summer so far, Jonathan Woodgate. Now Woodgate, of course, this could be potentially quite a big risk, but a risk that could pay dividends. Woodgate, at the start of his career, was considered to be one of the brightest prospects in English central defending. Many expected him to push the likes of Terry and Ferdinand and Sol Campbell at the time for a spot in the centre-back positions, but injury has really hampered his development. Now, he was a regular at Tottenham. Even with all his knee injuries, Tottenham continued to keep hold of him and try their best to get him back on, but quite frankly, along with the perennially injured Ledley King, they could only afford to have one centre-back who was constantly injured. And unfortunately, King has just proven himself to be much more effective than Woodgate, so Woodgate, off he goes. Now, the former Leeds, Real Madrid and Tottenham defender has joined Stoke. It's a risk, but they got him on a free, and obviously it doesn't hurt to try, I think, is the main thing, and certainly Stoke will have to try hard, but if he comes in and he's successful, he could potentially be an absolutely wonderful signing. Now, they have got quite a few good players already at the old Britannia Stadium. No longer are they known as the team that relies on Rory Delap's throw-ins. They've got lots of fantastic players there, in particular Matthew Etherington, who just continues to play excellent football. On the other flank, they've got Jermaine Pennant. It didn't quite work out for him at Arsenal or indeed at Liverpool, but he's back in the Premier League with Stoke, and he's been doing very well. And it is without a doubt the wings are their strongest points. They have got some other very promising players. Of course, Kenwyne Jones up front is certainly not doing too bad. And last season, until the emergence of another young forward, John Walters, who is, looks like he's got a bit of something about him and could potentially develop into being a fantastic player. They've already got Robert Huth and Ryan Shawcross as a centre-back partnership, which works very, very well for Stoke. Abdoulaye Faye was obviously quite good, but he's gone now. And in nets, they've got Amir Begovic. I think his first name's Amir. Sorry if I've got that wrong, Mr. Begovic. and he's proven to be quite good. And then, of course, there's also Sorensen, who was, he was a former fantasy goalkeeper of mine, so I do have a bit of a soft spot for a fantasy team goalkeeper. But quite simply, Stoke have a good squad. It's not anything spectacular, and I think Tony Pulis will admit that they haven't got a lot of flair, but quite frankly, they're just happy to be competing in the Premier League and not going through the rigmarole of relegation. And I think it's going to be a similar season. I don't think they're going to be in relegation trouble unless they have major injury problems. I do feel if they want to challenge and really make sure that they finish in the top half of the table, they will need to sign somebody, probably some sort of good creative midfielder. Now I know that they're not going to get the likes of Sneijder. I've been told that's how you're supposed to pronounce it by a Dutch person. Then you pronounce it, it's not Schneider, it's Sneijder. Just throwing that out there. So I don't, obviously Stoke aren't going to get a Wesley Sneijder or a Luka Modric or a. See, I'm not sure if I said Luka Modric right now. Is it Modric or Modric? Oh well, they're not going to get him, and they're not going to the likes of Sami Nasri, but they could certainly get someone like what's his name? It just went out of my head. Scott Parker from West Ham. He would certainly be an option. Somebody like him, or Joey Barton's available. And if he went to Stoke, I think he would improve their central midfield to no end. So yes, all in all though, I think this is going to be another comfortable season for Stoke. They're certainly going to cause lots of teams headaches, and they will be interesting to see if they do get into the Europa League, how they cope with competitions in Europe and then back in the league week after week. And if they get beyond the group stages, I think that would be fantastic for them. I think that they will finish inside the top half of the table by finishing 10th as well. And all in all, I just think they're going to have another good season. Okay, that's all for Stoke today. Tomorrow we preview the season for the Black Cats, Sunderland. Unlucky for some, but not if you're a player looking to be signed. They've signed almost an entire squad already. They've been very, very prolific. We'll be discussing their various signings and their prospects for the upcoming season in tomorrow's Daily Splat. Until then, bye-bye.